The body paragraph is the most misunderstood concept in academic writing. It is the body paragraphs that show your research and your ability to articulate an argument. Many books draw toward the conventional three-element structure of the body paragraph, which consists of a topic sentence, supporting sentences, and a concluding line. However, this concept is too broad to be used for articulation. More specifically, the supporting sentences need to be structured in a particular way in order for you to make your point. This video will give you practical methods for developing body paragraphs and help you overcome the confusion set by conventional teaching. There are three kinds of body paragraphs: the deductive method, the inductive method, and the most important of them all, the contrasting method. Note: in order to understand how to write body paragraphs effectively, you must bear in mind the external to internal principle. This principle simply requires you to begin by exploring external factors outside of the main subject you want to analyze first, then funneling down to the internal factors affecting your subject of study. This principle can be used another way, as we will see in the following example. 1. The deductive method. The deductive paragraph method consists of you stating a theory, concept, or a framework, then providing supporting sentences which consist of evidence to validate the theory. The first example or evidence given must always relate to your main assignment question, while the following examples should show how the issues affecting the main subject of your assignment criteria is affecting another subject in a similar way. This should create an inverted funneling effect, as you start off very specific with a theory and a related piece of evidence, then bring in external factors to validate the theory. The final concluding line usually sums up what you have written in the paragraph and is actually the topic sentence restated. Let's refer back to the example assignment question from episode 2. Discuss the effects of pollution caused by industrialization in Nepal. A deductive paragraph to explore this question might be as follows. Topic sentence. Industrialization can be a great threat to the environment of a developing country. Theory line. Chernywan proposed that economic growth through industrialized production is detrimental to the quality of the environment. Internal evidence. Harmful substances from industrial and urban activities were found in the soil of the Koshi River in Nepal. Further detail. A small level of the substance was found. However, Tan et al. Argued that the amount may be determined by the fact that Nepal has a smaller level of industrial activities when compared to other countries such as China and South Korea. External evidence. Furthermore, pollution from industrial activities caused at least one ailment every 6 months, with the textiles industry being the primary pollutant in Dhaka, the capital city of Bangladesh. Concluding line. This shows that while territories in developing countries might be a good location for industrial production, the consequences of such activities on a large scale have the capability of fatally polluting the environment. Please note that the further detail line may be used if necessary. In this case, both examples had extra detail that was necessary for the analysis. In the first example, the extra detail was about the scale of the industrial activity in Nepal, whilst for the second example, it was about the textiles industry being the primary pollutant. The further detail in the second example did not need to be put in another sentence like the first example, as it was short enough to be added onto a single line. Regardless, further details are a great way to reveal the depth and scope of the example stated in your paragraph. But of course, if an example doesn't need expanding on, then do not worry too much about the further detail line. As you can see, the topic of this paragraph is industrialization. The theory line gives an opinion of the effects of industrialization. The internal evidence gives an example of how the main subject of study is affected by industrialization. And finally, the external evidence is an example of how the topic explored is affecting another country to add more validity to the point of view expressed in this paragraph. These citations are all different from one another. However, what binds them together is the topic they explore. There are no hard and fast rules for crafting the best academic literature, so you might want to use this template differently if you must. 2. The inductive method. The inductive method is like the opposite of the deductive method. This method requires more exploration and requires you to start off with an external example or an observation, then funnel down to the evidence related to the main subject of your assignment, and eventually a theory to explain the events and show your analysis. The inductive method is the epitome of the external to internal principle. Let's refer back to the example assignment question from episode 2. Topic sentence. Industrialization can be a great threat to the environment of a developing country. External evidence. Pollution from industrial activities in Dhaka, Bangladesh was found to have caused at least one ailment every 6 months, with the textiles industry being the primary pollutant. Internal evidence. Furthermore, harmful substances from industrial and urban activities were found in the soil of the Koshi River in Nepal. Further detail. Only a small level of the substance was found, however. Tan et al. Argued that the amount may be determined by the fact that Nepal has a smaller level of industrial activities when compared to other countries such as China and South Korea. Theory. Chernywan theorized that economic growth through industrialized production is detrimental to the quality of the environment. Further detail. He based his research on a sulfur emission data for 157 countries within the period of 1970 to 2000 to conduct his work. Concluding sentence. This shows that while territories in developing countries might be good locations for industrial production, the consequences of such activities on a large scale have the capability to critically damage the natural environments and harm the local residents. Again, the citations in this paragraph are linked by the topic of industrialization. However, unlike the deductive method, the inductive method begins with an external evidence first, which highlights how your topic affects another subject, then funnels down to an internal evidence, showing how the topic affects the subject of study, until it eventually sums up the investigation with a theory. This method highlights your ability to explore and experiment, and just like the deductive method, it fails to compare and contrast views and opinions. Again, you might want to use this method differently if you are required to do so. 3. The contrasting method. Finally, we arrive at the contrasting method. This is the most favored method by the markers, and the method that should always be used throughout your body segment unless the others are required. This is primarily because the contrasting method is the only one which is best able to trace the conflict between two or more opposing opinions and theories. The proper use of the contrasting paragraph structure will highlight your abilities in understanding an issue and articulating an argument. The external to internal principle still applies here, as you will begin by writing about the opposing theory first, then comparing and contrasting it to your supportive theory afterwards. The concluding line will either highlight which argument is stronger or what the conflict of both arguments mean for the subject of discussion. In the following example, we will focus on the latter principle. Let's refer back to the example assignment question from episode 2. Topic sentence. Industrialization can be a great threat to the environment of a developing country. Opposing theory, external. Razia, McFarlane, and Kuruvilla argued that long-term sustainable industrialization and structural change is detrimental toward improving the material condition of workers over time. External evidence or sample used. This is evident in the development in the Chinese economy, which saw an increase in wages through industrialization and structural change. Supportive theory, internal. However, Chernywan proposed that economic growth through industrialized production is detrimental to the quality of the environment. Internal evidence or sample used. Harmful substances from industrial and urban activities were found in the soil of the Koshi River in Nepal. Only a small level of the substance was found, however. Tan et al. Argued that the amount may be determined by the fact that Nepal has a smaller level of industrial activities when compared to other countries such as China and South Korea. Concluding line. This shows that while industrialization can produce benefits in the labor market, the consequences of such activities on a large scale can harm the environment through pollution in less developed countries. You will once again find that every opinion and evidence is connected together through the topic of industrialization. The external theory gives a completely different view of the topic, and the external evidence backs up the opinion expressed by the author. Suitably so, the internal theory or opinion, however, gives the view you mostly agree with, and the internal example highlights the support of the theory and the effect of the topic on the subject of study. Again, you might want to use this method differently if you are required to do so. By using these templates, you will be able to keep your body paragraphs organized and keep reasonably within the given word limitation, as you will make every word count. More so, you will be able to effectively analyze the issues of your topic and show your ability to articulate an argument as your tutor expects. Finally, to make these templates work even better, lay the template you want to use under every heading in the main body. Then write the topic sentences of each template as you research from criterion to criterion. That's it for today. Remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.